I've wasted time. You've wasted time. We both know this. We both know this. But what do we do with this information? How do we become better from this information? That is what I'll be discussing today. If you do not know me, my name is Champ, and I help men win. I'll be helping you win today by hopefully giving you some more actionable advice that can change your life. We'll see though. So, I'm just like everybody, right? I've wasted time, right? We've all wasted time. We've all been there. We've all could have been better and we could have did it at an earlier age and we had much more potential at a younger age and all this, right? But I want to point out this because I don't think it's particularly the most common thing, right? So for me, I have been watching videos. I've been in this self-improvement manosphere space, I guess you could kind of say, for almost 8 years now. Ever since I was 17, I'm 24 now. So it'll be almost about 8 years here soon. With that being said, there is this trend that I see all too often where people just consume and they do nothing with what they consume, right? It is this version of success porn, right? Where you're watching people live the life that you would like to live, achieve the things that you would like to achieve, and you get dopamine because you're watching them and then you think you could just be just like them, yet you're not doing anything at all besides watching them. And unfortunately, within our brain, it's almost pretty much the same thing. But you obviously do not get the fruits of the labor that you didn't put in, of course. But just as I, and probably just as you are with watching this video, we've probably watched enough videos. We probably know a lot more about what we need to do than what we're willing to admit, than what we would like to admit. But what do we do with this information in the first place, right? You've wasted time, and I want to pinpoint this specific thing because I think it is a unique human experience, right? So like I had mentioned, I've been watching videos and implementing and changing my life for the last 8 years, right? With that being said, I feel like I've heard all of the advice that I would need for my life because I've heard probably tens of thousands of people who are on the internet who are giving advice that have helped me with my life, that have helped alter my life truly. But I'd say the actual advice that I've actually taken is probably 2 or 3% of the advice, all the advice that I've heard. And I think, in a weird way, with me living the unique experience and probably something that will be a lot more commonplace for future generations and especially for people who are in some of the spaces that I'm in and on the internet, I think over the next couple of years, a lot of people will come to similar conclusions where they would have realized that they've heard all the advice that they've probably ever needed to hear in their life. And hearing advice, having that at your disposal, just as we have everything, all the information, and anything that you would ever need to do or can do or would like to do is on the internet somewhere, right? In a weird way, what was once the limitation of the past, which is, let's just say, not being able to have access to resources or information or advice or, being able to hear from millionaires, we have this at our disposal now. It is almost as if it is losing value. It's almost valueless when compared to, let's just say, I'll give you a scenario. Let's just say you were a person who was younger, you're trying to listen to an OG about some advice that hopefully was going to change your life. You could explain your own personal problems that you had or life experience to this person, and they were able to, give you a certain solution or a certain piece of advice that would be good. It hopefully would be very, very valuable because in this scenario, hopefully you actually did something with the advice that this person had given you, or at least you could do something with something that you heard from, right? We live in this unique space now where we can get this advice, we can hear these good pieces of information that are hopefully valuable, but I would argue are almost valueless because they're so abundant, right? What was something that was in perceived scarcity, which was, let's just say, good information or good actionable advice, has now become something that is honestly laughable, right? I've heard all of the information. I've heard all of the advice that I could need to hear. And I've heard probably more advice than any person in my bloodline has ever heard, ever, because I have access to the internet. Now, with that being said, I'm not all that I could be. And it's because I don't act on the information. That I don't act on all the information that I have at my disposal. So, what does this do to the information? And I would argue it makes it even. I would say it makes it less valuable than what it's supposed to be, right? Because the value of advice or the value of information is what you do with that information or what you do with said advice. That is the value. People think that, oh, I'm naive, right? So I need to seek out something. I need to look for something. I need to find something. And that is the solution to the issue. That is the solution to the problem. That is the piece of advice that I needed all of my life. Because now I can have my life changed, right? Because now I know. And what I would like to argue is knowing is even less than half the battle. Just because you know something doesn't mean anything. Because if you do nothing with what you know, then you're just as hopeless. You're in the same predicament as somebody who didn't know at all. Because you didn't do anything with it, right? You had the answers to the test, right? And you didn't even do the test. Somebody didn't have answers to the test and didn't do the test either. So both of you guys are in the same predicament, yet you knew something, yet you didn't even do the test. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm using that example. It's not the best example, but hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. So, information, to be able to seek out information, to be able to seek out advice, the only thing that gives it value is what you do with the advice. You can hear the right advice or good advice at the wrong time and it mean absolutely nothing. Obviously, what you do with the advice is everything. Whether you do something with it and, let's just say you don't do anything with it and that's exactly what it is, or you do something with it and that's exactly what it is. That is the value of the advice that you would get, right? So, since value is predicated on what you do with said advice, and I've particularly gotten a lot of advice, and I haven't done as much with the advice, that makes the information, that makes the advice, that makes that all a lot less valuable than what it should be and what it could be. And one thing I want to mention with this as well, this is something that I came to the conclusion of, is when you do research, you seek out advice, you hear millionaires talk about certain things, right? And you have your observations, maybe this little subtleties, maybe something that people don't, maybe not everybody's going to pick this information out or be drawn to this certain phrasing of words. This is all you giving your self-advice, right? You watching a video, you hearing somebody say something, you learning something new on the internet. You're giving your self-advice, kind of, right? But it means nothing if you don't do anything with that advice at all. Value provided is subjective. So if you want something to truly change your life, the only way to make it change your life is to not just hear it, is to do something with it. And obviously, this is something that is very, very obvious, but yet you see so many people still consuming more than they create. And then you run into the issue of people who consume more than they create. People who consume more than they create are less fulfilled than people who just create, right? Of course, each is going to come with its own challenges, right? If you create, people are likely to hate. But if you consume, you're more likely to be the hater yourself. And that is what people don't really understand when it comes to the creative process. You're not doing your due diligence when it comes to the creative cycle of life if you're not creating anything at all and you're just consuming. You're just taking and not giving anything back, right? So what I'm saying is, in order to give something back, you need to create something with the advice that you have, the information that you have access to. You need to create something. You need to do something. You need to change the world, even if it's very, very minor, with the information that you have. Because if not, then it's completely useless. Because you've just consumed, and you haven't done anything with the consumption. It didn't live up to its potential. We'll just say that. And by that not living up to its potential, you likely didn't live up to your potential either. So now what do you do? And the answer to that question is you just do. It's as simple as that, right? You can click off the video now as long as you do something with the information, but if you feel like you're not going to do anything, then continue watching. And unfortunately, a lot of people continue watching. One thing that I've realized in life is a lot of people hope for a better tomorrow, but they do nothing to ensure that tomorrow will be better. Everyone can hope for a better tomorrow. But if you don't do anything today, if you don't do anything tomorrow that will make tomorrow better, then it's for nothing. Then it's a complete waste. So, action is the antidote to life's chaos. I mentioned that in a previous podcast. Action is the antidote to everything that you're looking for. There's a lot of good information on the internet. Obviously, everyone knows that, yet nobody will really do anything with it, right? We have the most abundant amount of information that has ever existed on the internet on anything that you could ever learn or everything that you would ever want to aspire to be. Yet you still see people who are living a less than satisfactory life, who aren't doing much with their life at all when they could be doing the most, and they could be even doing more than anyone ever did, let's just say 100 years ago, because of the information that is at our disposal. So getting the information, just because you have the information, just because you have the answers to the test, doesn't mean that you will even take the test and you will even be able to show that you have the information. The only thing that the world cares about is your ability to show exactly what you know, to show your work, right? That's all anyone cares about. It doesn't matter what you know. The only thing that matters is what you do with what you know. That's it. So, I don't care how many books you've read. I don't care how many videos you've watched. I don't care how many pieces of information that you have at your disposal. The only thing that I care about, the only thing that you care about, and the only thing the world cares about is what you do with that information. And that's it. So, I've watched and wasted so much time. I wasted so much time watching videos, gathering information, and it's not a complete waste. It's not a complete wash because I act. And I don't always act, right? For example, this podcast, I should have filmed this information weeks ago. Right? This is my first podcast back in almost a month. With that being said, I'm here to do something about it now. This is what I'm doing now. And hopefully, after you watching this video, you can take something away truly and actually do something and create something for yourself. Take some of your own advice, if you will, and do something with that advice. Because like I had mentioned, value is subjective. Just because people have a lot of it doesn't mean it's valuable. And unfortunately, just because we have a lot of it, a lot of information, a lot of advice, doesn't mean that you're going to do anything with it at all. So do something with it. Be different than everyone else. There's going to be a lot of people who watch this video who do nothing with it. There's going to be some people, very, very few people, who will actually do something about what I have to say today. That will actually change the trajectory of their life because of a video just like this. So you know what to do. You've watched enough videos. You've wasted enough time. You've wasted enough of your potential. Go out into the world and show the world that you've done your research. That you've made enough observations and you know exactly what to do. Act as if you know what you exactly need to go ahead and do, because you do, for the most part, hopefully. And if you don't, the only way that you will actually find out if you do or if you don't know is to act. Anyways. So, getting more information can be helpful, but if you have an idea of what you know you need to do, just do that. Just do that, and I'm telling you, you're going to be much better off for damn sure. That's all I have to say. This is episode 273 of the Life of a Champ podcast. The last time in this studio. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for your time and attention. Like I said, just make sure you act, man. Do what you know you need to do. That's it.